In today's show, a deadly church shooting in Michigan, a late-night scramble to prevent a government shutdown, and why younger viewers can't stop turning on subtitles. Plus, Arizona reels from fatal flash floods, scientists say intelligent life could be tens of thousands of light years away, and the mystery behind the viral teen catchphrase, 41. And here's the trivia question. What's the oldest age ever recorded for a domestic cat? It's Monday, September 29th, and this is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hello and happy Monday. Welcome back to the Flyover Podcast. I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown, and I hope you had an amazing weekend. We have a full show today, so let's get right to it and take off with the biggest headlines of the day. A tragic scene unfolded Sunday morning at a Latter-day Saints church in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. Police say 40-year-old Iraq War veteran Thomas Jacob Sanford drove his truck straight through the church doors, then opened fire with an assault rifle while hundreds of worshipers were inside. He also set the building on fire before officers arrived. Authorities say they responded within 30 seconds and shot Sanford dead less than 5 minutes after the attack began. Several improvised explosive devices were found at the scene, and a bomb squad is still investigating. Witnesses told police the chaos started just after a congressional hymn, with people scrambling through back exits as flames spread. So far, at least 2 people have been killed and 8 others wounded, including children. 7 of the injured are stable, 1 remains in critical condition, and investigators are still working to confirm the full number of casualties because the church was destroyed by fire. More on this developing story in the show notes below. Turning to Washington, the clock is ticking on a possible government shutdown. Funding for federal agencies runs out at midnight, and President Trump is meeting today with top congressional leaders, including House Speaker Mike Johnson, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, and Democrats Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, in a last-minute push to keep the government open. Republicans want a short-term funding bill, while Democrats are pressing for added health care provisions. If they can't strike a deal, non-essential federal operations start shutting down on Tuesday. And finally, a lighter note about how we watch television. A new poll finds that younger viewers are far more likely to use subtitles than older ones. About 4 in 10 adults under 45 say they often watch with the captions on, and compared to just 3 in 10 over the age of 45. And most people over 60 say they rarely or never do. Analysts think it's partly because younger viewers multitask or watch in noisy settings, and because today's shows mix quiet dialogue with loud sound effects, making it harder to catch every word. We have a poll question about this, by the way, in today's poll section. Don't go anywhere. Here are your top political headlines. New York City politics took a turn over the weekend. Mayor Eric Adams announced Sunday that he's ending his re-election campaign after months of speculation and consistently low poll numbers. His decision clears the path for Democratic Socialist Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani, who's now the frontrunner. Mamdani has built his campaign on housing reform and police accountability, and local outlets note that he's drawing strong support from the city's progressive base. Out west, tensions flared in Portland, Oregon. Protesters clashed with federal agents outside an ICE facility after President Trump deployed additional troops to what he called a war-ravaged city. Local reports say crowds grew into the hundreds and police used tear gas to disperse them. This comes as Portland continues to be a flashpoint for immigration debates and federal-local conflicts over law enforcement tactics. Meanwhile, in Washington, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick tried to ease concerns about a high-profile feud. He told reporters that President Trump would forgive Elon Musk for their recent falling out, but, quote, won't forget that negativity after the billionaire stepped back from a government advisory role. Musk had publicly criticized the administration's handling of AI regulations, a move that stirred plenty of headlines in tech circles. And finally, a legal saga has quietly wrapped up. Rudy Giuliani settled the defamation lawsuit brought by Dominion Voting Systems over false claims about the 2020 election. The terms weren't disclosed, but it's another chapter closed in the wave of lawsuits tied to election misinformation. Dominion has already won or settled several similar cases, including its high-profile $787 million settlement with Fox News last year. Here are your podcast extra stories. Deadly flash floods have left at least 4 people dead and 2 missing in Arizona after a weekend of torrential rain. The town of Globe was hit the hardest. Around 1,000 propane tanks were swept from a distribution site, creating a serious hazmat risk. Governor Katie Hobbs declared a state of emergency, calling the damage heartbreaking, while rescue teams from dozens of agencies work around the clock. Officials say downtown Globe is unsafe because of damaged buildings, hazardous debris, and the risk of propane explosions. And they're urging everyone to stay clear until the search and cleanup are complete. We have many flyover readers in Arizona, and we're thinking of you. If you want to follow along with all of the up-to-date information regarding these floods and everything else local to the state of Arizona, you can subscribe to the Flyover State email editions. There's 9 of them, including Arizona, North Carolina, Florida, Colorado, and more. Sign up for free at jointheflyover.com. Next, from Earth to the cosmos, a new study suggests intelligent alien life may be far rarer and further away than once thought. Thank goodness. Researchers with the Austrian Academy of Sciences say that advanced civilizations need incredibly specific planetary conditions. Things like plate tectonics to regulate carbon dioxide and nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere to sustain fire and technology. Their models estimate the closest technology advanced civilization could be at least 33,000 light years away. They stress it isn't hopeless, but it does mean any overlap in time with such a civilization is unlikely. That makes me feel very happy because I don't believe in aliens. Okay. And if you've heard the kids yelling 41 lately, you're not alone. The meaningless phrase paired with a hand flip gesture, I think it goes like this if you're watching, is the latest viral teen trend. It started with a rap song by Blizzy Boy referencing 41 cars and 41 goals and kind of caught fire after he posted aging filter videos singing the hook. Okay. So teachers say it is already a classroom distraction, and while the gesture itself is totally harmless, the song has explicit lyrics, so parents may want to check where their kids are hearing it. And you didn't hear it from me, by the way. Still to come, a massive Russian strike pounds Ukraine. The New York Giants fear a season-ending injury, and a former Soros executive is arrested on sex trafficking allegations. Plus today's poll question, yesterday's results, and the trivia question. Thanks to our sponsor, Native Path Hydrate. Most people know that staying hydrated is essential to nearly every bodily function, but 75% of Americans still don't consume enough fluid daily. As we age, natural bodily changes make staying hydrated even harder, especially without artificial additives or excess sugars. That is where Native Path comes in with extra help. Native Path's Hydrate is not just another drink mix. It's a thoughtfully designed formula packed with BCAAs and all 9 essential amino acids to help with muscle recovery and overall vitality. Plus, completely sugar-free, 100% natural, and only 5 calories per serving. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free. Visit nativehydrate.com/flyover to see what Native Hydrate can do for your health, or click the link on the show notes below. In finance, let's talk money news, starting with crypto. The market had what traders are calling a red September, with sell-offs totaling nearly $500 million and prices dropping across the board. In sports business, 28-year-old Katharina Nowak just made history as the youngest person to run a Formula One Grand Prix. She's now president of the Miami F1 event and one of only 2 women in the world holding a top F1 race position. And the USDA is recalling a staggering 58 million pounds of corn dogs and other sausage on a stick products after reports of wood chips in the batter. So if you have any in your freezer, officials say check the labels and, sorry, but toss them. Here's what's happening beyond our borders. Russia launched one of its heaviest attacks of the war overnight into Sunday, firing more than 600 drones and missiles across Ukraine. At least 4 people were killed, including a 12-year-old girl, and officials in Kiev said apartment buildings, a medical center, and even a kindergarten were damaged. Ukrainian defense leaders told the BBC that this was the largest single-day assault since the full-scale invasion began in 2022. Meanwhile, President Trump says his Gaza peace plan is in the final stages. In a weekend interview, he described ongoing talks among Arab nations, Israel, and international mediators aimed at a permanent ceasefire and a new governing structure for the territory. The Associated Press reports that U.S. envoys have been shuttling between Tel Aviv, Cairo, and Doha to keep negotiations moving. And in Moldova, voters went to the polls Sunday for a high-stakes parliamentary election that many see as a choice between closer ties to the European Union or renewed alignment with Moscow. European election observers told Reuters they're investigating reports of Russian-funded disinformation campaigns and cyber attacks during the vote count. In sports, let's start with golf. Team Europe took the Ryder Cup on Sunday with Shane Lowry sinking the final putt to lock in the win despite a late push from Team USA. They'll get him in 2 years. Over to baseball, the Cleveland Guardians pulled off a historic 15.5 game comeback to claim the AL Central, and the Cincinnati Reds grabbed a playoff spot on the very last day of the season. Congrats to both of those teams. In the NFL, the Bills and Eagles both stayed perfect. James Cook powered Buffalo's offense with 22 carries for 117 yards and a touchdown, while Philly's Dallas Goedert hauled in 2 scores of his own. More news, by the way, on all these football standings can be found in today's show notes. And tough news for the Giants. Star rookie receiver Malik Nabers is feared to have torn his ACL after landing awkwardly in Sunday's game against the Chargers. May he have a speedy recovery. In science and tech, a breakthrough out of China could change how we treat broken bones. Researchers there have created a medical adhesive called Bone 02 that can heal a fracture in about 3 minutes with just a single injection, something doctors say could revolutionize emergency care if it passes human trials. Meanwhile, scientists at the University of British Columbia have unveiled the world's first mushroom-powered waterless toilet. Yeah, you heard me right. It's called the Myco toilet and uses the root networks of mushrooms, known as mycelia, to break down waste into compost without any water, chemicals, or electricity, offering a sustainable option for places with limited resources. You can read more about this in the show notes below. Here are some more headlines that we thought you should know about. Former George Soros executive Howie Rubin has been arrested on federal sex trafficking charges tied to violent encounters with women in a Manhattan BDSM dungeon. Prosecutors alleged a decade-long pattern of abuse. Rubin has pleaded not guilty and is being held without bail while the investigation continues. If you're into spy history, the International Spy Museum in Washington is showing off some incredible Cold War-era gadgets. Think hidden cameras in bras and cigarette packs, umbrella guns, glove pistols, and even poisoned needles disguised as coins. In Texas, a traffic stop turned comedic when an officer on horseback joked that his horse could smell narcotics. The suspect suddenly bolted, sparking a short foot chase caught on video. Police quickly caught him, though there's no word on whether the horse really had a nose for drugs. And in Brazil, skateboarding legend Sandro Dias, now 50, smashed 2 Guinness World Records by dropping 230 feet down the curved side of a government building and hitting a top speed of 64.5 miles per hour on his board. Here's the results of yesterday's poll question that Amy asked you. What's your go-to comfort food? 27% said ice cream, 18% said other, 17% said chips, another 17% said cookies, 12% said popcorn, and 9% said sandwich. Thanks to everyone who voted. I love ice cream too. What is your favorite flavor? Mine is coffee Oreo. Yummy. And here's today's poll question. Do you use subtitles when watching TV or movies? We talked about how a lot of people under the age of 45 listen to subtitles or watch subtitles. So the options are yes, no, or sometimes. Okay, personally, I actually cannot watch a movie without subtitles. I have horrible hearing and I'm so reliant on the subtitles. But what about you? You can vote in today's poll question in the show notes below. You've made it to the trivia question. What's the oldest age ever recorded for a domestic cat? The oldest cat on record was Cream Puff from Austin, Texas, who lived an incredible 38 years and 3 days. Her owner, Jake Perry, who also had another cat to live to be 34, fed them an odd mix of people food like turkey bacon and eggs and built elaborate play areas to keep them active, though vets don't recommend his wine and coffee treats. Oh, darn. That is it for today's flyover. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope you make someone else's day just a little bit brighter. I'll be back tomorrow with more headlines. Until then, thanks for flying with us.